I've just received the MOZA Multi-Function Stalks. That's right, MOZA's indicators are here. I'm really excited to show you what they're like. I've been trying them for a good few hours and I have some thoughts. Put simply, these are an accessory for the MOZA TSW truck wheel. They have 3 stalks which comprise wiper controls, lights, cruise controls, and self-cancelling indicators. But you can use the stalks with any MOZA rim. In fact, they fit to any MOZA base, and with an adapter that's included in the box, you can fit it to your third-party bases, like Fanatec bases, for example. So let's unbox the multi-function stalks. As usual, MOZA's packaging is really, really nice. The instructions are actually on the box. Inside, you've got the multi-function stalks themselves. Now, these are actually pretty big, and they feel amazing. MOZA claim these are made of genuine vehicle components, and I can believe them because this does not feel like a toy. This feels like a serious piece of equipment, just like any indicator stalks you get in a car or a truck or a van. You can see in the center, when I'm pushing the indicator up and down, the auto cancelling function. Basically, it's a little lever that pops up into the center, and as you turn your wheel, something pushes that up or down to cancel the indicators. Really neat design there. There are 28 functions on these stalks. Everywhere you look, there's different buttons and knobs and switches. And also included in the box, you've got the USB-C cable you need for the stalks to work. You just plug that straight into your PC. And loads of screws, an Allen key, a wrench, the extension rod. Basically, this gives you extra depth to provide a space for the stalks to sit behind your rim. And it has the exact same quick release that we're used to with the MOZA ecosystem. You've also got this backplate thing, and I think that will be useful for people who want to attach these stalks to a third-party base. But don't quote me on that. I do have a MOZA R9 V2. The multifunction stalks can be mounted inverted, and the front mounting points can also be used. They're hidden under the magnetic front plate. So, setting up the multifunction stalks. I wouldn't call it easy, but it did make sense. On the back of the box, there are 2 options for installing your multifunction stalks. You've got the basic method, which I think is for older MOZA bases, and basically you take off the magnetic front plate and mount it via that. But MOZA recommend installation method 2, and basically you've got these standoff studs. You need to put them two in a line and then screw into all 4 corners of your MOZA base. You then connect the extension rod to the front and take off the back plate. Put these long screws through the center of the multifunction stalks, screw them in tight, and then that's it. Put the magnetic plate back on, which basically is just like a fascia. It covers up the underneath where you can see the screws and things like that. And then put the wheel rim on, the TSW wheel, and oh my goodness, that's it. I mean, it took me about half an hour to figure it out, but it's on, and it looks great. So the MOZA TSW truck wheel is 400mm in diameter, and you can see the multifunction stalks fit neatly behind it. They're actually obscured by the wheel, which is kind of nice. That's how it would be in a real car. Just to do a quick test, I did try it with my MOZA ES rim. Now that is very small, 280mm, and it still doesn't look ridiculous or silly or out of place. You do need the MOZA Pit House app running, and you just plug the multifunction stalks in with the supplied USB-C cable. Worked instantly. There are no lights on this thing, and it basically acts like a button box. So now we come to using this in games, and there's some good news and some bad news. First of all, these are supported by pretty much every game. What you do have to do is set the controls manually. So you have to go through and say, I want this to be the indicator, I want this to be the cruise control, I want these to be the fog lights, the wipers, whatever. You can do that very easy just by looking through the controls in BeamNG, Truck Sim, and OMSI 2. Those are the games I've tested these with so far. So BeamNG, what's that like? Well, the headlights work perfectly. I love flashing the headlights with these. It creates far more of a realistic sense that you're actually controlling a vehicle. You don't have to press a keyboard or, you know, a big button on the front of the steering wheel, which is so unrealistic. You're actually putting on a stalk, and you can see down the bottom left here my camera. There's also a slider on the left-hand side where the turn signals are, and I was using that for the lights. BeamNG does not have an option in the controls to set a cancel indicator setting, control, whatever. So basically, you turn the indicator on, and if you turn it off manually without the steering wheel centering in-game, the indicator will stay on. That is kind of an issue, and even worse, perhaps, when you center the wheel, the indicator stalk will cancel itself, but it doesn't affect what happens to the indicators in-game. I'm kind of trying to get my head around how to explain this to you, but I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Once you center the wheel in-game, I think in-game the indicators will cancel anyway, so most of the time, that's fine. Now, luckily, the cruise control works really well. I don't really use cruise control that much in BeamNG, but if you do, and maybe if you want to use it in Euro Truck or American Truck, the cruise control stalk is brilliant. Let's have a look at OMSI 2. Now, there's two reasons for this. First of all, the last time I covered the MOZA multifunction stalks when I was announcing that they were coming out, I said I couldn't think of a game that used wiper washers, but OMSI 2 does have it, and I pulled back on the stalk and watch what happens. Oh yes, that is so much fun. Seriously, that was a lot of fun to do. It's just mind-boggling we can finally do this in a game, sat behind a desk. We can actually pull a stalk and it turns the washers on. Anyway, whatever. OMSI 2 has some of the worst settings menus in the world. The controls, well, some of them are in German, but it does have a cancel indicator control. So the indicators work flawlessly in OMSI 2. I can just move them up and down perfectly. They know when they're not being used and they know when to go up and down. Moving over to Truck Simulator. I tried this out in American Truck Simulator, and again, we have the same issue with the indicators. There's only an on for left or right, no cancel indicator control. The good news is SCS Software have noticed this problem. This is not a MOZA issue. MOZA can't really do anything to improve this experience. The MOZA multifunction stalks are basically 28 switches. So unless the games have support for all 28, it's just not going to work. So American Truck Simulator, Euro Truck Simulator 2. SCS Software are bringing in a cancel indicator function in the near future. There was a similar issue with the wipers. So in ETS2, you can increase the wiper speed or decrease the wiper speed. I think there are 5 settings on the wiper stalk from going down all the way to the top, and they hold in that position. So I was just using like 2 of them. If I pushed it up, the wipers would get faster. If I push it down, the wipers would get slower and turn off. Unfortunately, BeamNG obviously doesn't have a wiper function. There is a mod for it, but someone could very easily mod these games and any other game to have support for the multifunction stalks, and I think that in the near future is more of a realistic option. Another thing to think about is that this frees up buttons for the MOZA TSW truck wheel. You won't have to use the light or indicator controls on the actual front of the TSW wheel, and then you can use the sticker pack which came with the TSW truck wheel and basically change them into anything else like beacons or suspension settings, whatever you want. This really does free up a lot of buttons. So what are my thoughts of the multifunction stalks? Thank you very much first of all to MOZA for sending these to me. I'm really, really grateful. I'm probably one of the first people in the world to get my hands on these, and I have really been enjoying using them. There are issues, but this really does break the mold for sim gear. Nothing has been done like this ever before. If you wanted to get something like this in the past, you'd have had to make it yourself, or maybe some small independent manufacturer was out there and they'd cost obviously a fortune. Maybe they wouldn't be as high quality as this. So yeah, the opportunity here is golden. I mean, these feel amazing, and I can see if games in the future, like from SCS Software and BeamNG, whatever other driving games there are out there, if they can provide native support for the MOZA multifunction stalks, these would be, well, a game changer. Right now, they do require some setup and maybe just a little bit of trial and error to get the setup working well for you. So finally, the price. These are €215 or £199 or $199. You do have shipping costs on top of that from China, and the estimated shipping time is between 6 and 8 weeks. So yes, the multifunction stalks are now out. They were previously in like a pre-order phase. They're out now. You can order it straight away. I do have an affiliate link in the description if you would like like to purchase the Multi-Function Stalks, maybe consider using that affiliate link. You'll be helping me out. And let me know what you think of these in the comments down below. I've tried to be as honest and as open about these as possible, but overall my impression is positive. Just some constructive criticism, I think, mainly for the game developers. But that's all from me. If you'd like to see my review of the MOZA TSW truck wheel, click the video on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon for some more simulator adventures.